because we need crop models to be able to really parameterize, because we'll use them to test the resilience of crops within this climate variability issues. So we expect that the data we get will be useful for crop modelers, to be able to improve their models. What? Oh, it's at soil time. Okay.
I'll come back.
All right, mate. All right. Thank you very much. Oh, I was already zoned in.
All right, welcome guys to the YouTube channel. My name is Sam Fafiolu. I'm a PhD student at the University of Plymouth. Yeah, we had a conference at Rothamsted Research in Luton, and we're going for a tour right now. There is Madison. She's the one who came to call me for the tour, so I'm taking you guys on this tour with me.
I'm going on a tour.
Yeah, and there is Gordon, who surprised me with his knowledge about tech, influencing, and all that lingo. Yeah, you will hear from him very soon. We are on our way to the archive.
Be outside anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is the largest UK soil archive. You have soil samples or seed samples over many decades. But it was a nice day, beautiful day at the research center. So I thought it was a good time to film. And yeah, let's hear from Gordon.
One of the 360-degree ones.
Yeah. Oh, I'm surprised you know about it.
Oh, well,
Are you?
Amazon.
Oh, cool.
Adverts and stuff. And Which I do. I get Which Best Buy stuff. And I'm trying to work out what use I could make of them, other than apart from an ordinary camera.
Yeah, I think it's just good for you can position it anywhere and you pick what's happening around. I think that's just the major thing,
So
as opposed to
front as well.
exactly
And behind.
and behind. Yes. So when editing, you just choose the one you want, which clip you want. So I think that's the major thing.
You've got a reasonable big memory store in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Or is it built in?
It's built in. It's got like 105 gig
All right.
free, and if you want to get like a terabyte SD card. So I think that's the major gap it's filling. The fact that
It was people doing TikTok and stuff.
well, it's one of those things. Because I do TikTok
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I got reasonable. I actually talk about.
Clips.
Yeah. People do a lot of things on TikTok. I talk about research writing, for example.
So you're not an influencer.
Well, I think I'm getting to that status. I have like almost 37,000 followers.
Wow.
So
That's good.
I think I'm hitting the influencer status gradually.
But some people do it as a profession
Yes.
or an income.
But there's quite a lot of money in it anyway.
Might need to slightly, shuffle along.
Okay. Let me go to the back.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been, well, has it been a reasonable day so far?
It is, yes.
What do you think of it so far? Great stuff. Okay, so I'm Andy Gregory. I'm the soil scientist here at Rothamsted. But my main role really is leading up Rothamsted's long-term experiments programme. So I'll just give you a very brief history of the long-term experiments, and then we'll go next door, which is much more interesting. But the history of Rothamsted is really centred on this gentleman Laws, John Bennett Laws, who was born at the Manor House on the site here in 1814, was well educated, eventually found his way to Oxford. But he was only at Oxford for about a year. He didn't actually graduate with a degree, which wouldn't have been unusual for a person of his place in society at the time. But actually, more to the point, his father had died when he was only 8, so he inherited the estate here at Rothamsted. But he had stayed at Oxford long enough to get interested in nutrients, what nutrients were important for crop growth and how they cycle between plants and soils and atmosphere, I guess. Still a lot of big unknowns in the middle of the 19th century, particularly about how plants acquire nitrogen. One school of thought assumed about 80% of the air is nitrogen, that's enough to satisfy crop needs. Laws and others thought, no, if you apply nitrogen to land, you'll see a response in crop yield. And of course, that's the case. The other nutrient law that's associated with is phosphorus, because he came to take out a patent for producing superphosphate fertiliser, so the world's first commercial inorganic fertiliser, and established factories in London. And we've got kind of documentary evidence that he began to set up very small trials on the site here at Rothamsted, looking at the application of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and looking at the effect on crop yields and how nutrients cycled. But really 1843 is the given date of the start of Rothamsted as an agricultural experimental station. Also in 1843, Gilbert arrived as Lawes' scientific collaborator to run the labs. And between 1843 and 1856, this began to set up some more formalised trials looking at nutrient inputs, predominantly in inorganic forms, but also in comparison with organic manures, always with a comparison of no application of nutrients as well. Set up a number of these trials, each one tended to focus on a single test crop that was run continuously, like one experiment under winter wheat, one under spring barley, one under a root crop. And to bring us forward to the present day, 5 of them are still in the ground, which are still recognisable from the 1840s and 1850s. And other experiments have come along since the time of Lawes and Gilbert as well. The experiments are still in the ground. They represent the oldest field experiments in the world. Lawes and Gilbert started collecting their samples for analysis, crop samples, soil samples, measuring nutrients predominantly, and to cut to the chase, I guess, didn't dispose of those samples, so began to build up an archive of samples, and that's where we are here today. And there's a few examples on the board of how archive samples have been reanalysed to measure traits and properties that could never have been envisaged at the time that they were actually collected. So I think we'll go next door. That's much more interesting. We'll point out 1 or 2 things. Feel free to take photos if you wish. Kev, would you mind closing the outside door?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh.
So I'll just point out 1 or 2 things.
When I came in here, I was flabbergasted, seeing all the soil samples, the seed samples, very well collected, very well arranged over many years. It's so amazing, to be honest. And I mean, they've done a good job in making this collection very systematic.
So we have a collection of soil samples that have been collected from the experimental plots, some from the 1840s, and then kind of going chronologically left to right, top to bottom, right the way through to the samples we collected after harvest last year. Soil samples have been air dried and crumbled to pass a 2mm sieve, which is kind of the definition of soil, before being archived in this way. You can kind of see how things have changed over time. So in the early decades, they would collect very large quantities of soil and storing them in the bottles, which looks very pretty with the handwritten label.
The last 2 days, just go and sit in my garden for 10 minutes at a time and just
Makes sense.
get the vitamin D going.
Yeah, and that was it. I loved the tour. My chat with Gordon, and everybody was just chatting and learning from each other. The second set of people that would be checking out the archive, they're coming. Yeah, led by this guy, and you see Cornelia's wave. Yeah, so I mean, they're going to see their own side of things, but I mean the same thing. But it was a good thing to see how, you know, research is taken seriously at Rothamsted. Research. I think it's a very nice research environment, to be fair. Like, come your way next time, subscribe to the channel,